So 5.4 is the last new section we're going to learn before our test. Our test is Friday. It's going to be on 5.1 through 5.4. So this is the last new thing that we're going to learn. So we're going to use the sum and difference formulas. So we have this handy dandy little box. This will be given to you on the test, just like the identities will be also. So this will just be added to the list of things that are given to you. We use our sum and difference formulas when the angles are not on the unit circle. So if we were given an angle that's not on the unit circle, looking at example 1, like 75 degrees is not on the unit circle, we have to use our sum and difference formula to help us find the cosine of 75 degrees. So using these gives us exact answers. So it gives exact values as the answers. So let's take a look at examples 1. So example 1a, we have to find the cosine of 75 degrees. Now we still use the unit circle, but what two angles on the unit circle either add up to 75 or subtract to 75? 45 and 30. So we're trying to find the cosine of 45 plus 30. So we're going to use the one that's cosine and adding. So we're using our formula that is cosine of u plus v, which is cosine of u times cosine of v minus sine u times sine v. I just rewrote this formula here. Now we're trying to find the cosine of 45 plus 30, so we can say 45 is our u and 30 is our v. So here I'm trying to find cosine of u, which is 45, times cosine v, and we said v is 30, minus sine of u, which is 45, times sine of v, which is 30. Now 45 and 30 are on our unit circle, so we're just going to go to our unit circle to find these values. For cosine, am I looking at the x or the y on my unit circle? I'm looking at x. And for sine, that means I'm looking at y. So I'm going to go to 45 degrees, which is here, and the x value at 45 is square root 2 over 2. Now I'm going to go to where cosine is 30, which is here. Cosine is x, so the x value here is square root 3 over 2. Then I need to find the sine of 45. Sine is y, so that's square root 2 over 2. And then sine of 30, sine is y, so that would be 1/2. And then from here, we just need to multiply and then subtract. So how can I multiply square root 2 over 2 times square root 3 over 2? So when multiplying fractions, you multiply the tops together and multiply the bottoms. So square root 2 times square root 3 is square root 6, perfect. And then 2 times 2 is 4. And then we do the same thing with our second group here, square root 2 over 2 times 1 over 2. So square root 2 times 1 is square root 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. Can I subtract these?
If you get them to a common, but you can.
I have a common denominator, so I can subtract.
A common radical.
Right. I can't actually subtract the top, but I can combine them to one fraction. So it'll be square root 6 minus square root 2 over 4. So since we have a common denominator, we can combine the bottoms together. But you can't actually combine the tops. But this would be our answer. All right, so 1b is sine of pi over 12. Now pi over 12 is not on the unit circle, but it's either going to be the sum of two numbers on the unit circle or the difference of two numbers on the unit circle. But it's kind of hard to tell when you have radians. So the first thing we want to do is convert to degrees. How do I convert pi over 12 to degrees? So multiply by 180 over pi. Let's see, 6 goes into 12 and 180, so this would be 30 times and 2 times. And then 2 goes into 30, 15. So this would be the sine of 15 degrees. So all I did was convert to degrees first. Now what two numbers on the unit circle either add up to 15 or subtract to 15?
45 and 30.
45 and 30. So this would be the sine of 45 minus 30.
Are you ever going to use like the other?
All right, so here we're using the sine and the difference formula. So sine and subtracting would be this one. So we have sine of u, which u is the first one, so that's 45. So sine of 45 times cosine of v. V is 30. Minus cosine of u, which is 45, times sine of v, which is 30. So just using this formula here. I find it helpful in this step to label which one's your u and which one's your v. That way when you're plugging it into your formula, you don't make a mistake on which one goes where. So just label which one's your u and which one's your v. When adding, it doesn't matter, but just make sure you're consistent on the first one's your u, the second one's your v. All right. So sine, we look at which value on our unit circle? We look at the y values. And cosine, we look at the x values. So I'm going to go to my unit circle to 45. And what's my y value at 45 degrees? Square root 2 over 2. Then I'm going to look for my x value where cosine is 30. So cosine's 30. What's my x value where cosine's 30? Square root 3 over 2. Then I'm going to cosine of 45, and I'm looking at the x value. The x value would be square root 2 over 2. And then lastly, the y value where sine is 30. So sine is 30, our y value is 1/2. and then we just multiply. So when multiplying fractions, multiply straight across. So this would be square root 6 over 4. Again, multiply straight across, so square root 2 over 4. So when we subtract these, it would be square root 6 minus square root 2 over 4. But we're still using the same sum and difference formulas. We're just applying them a little bit differently here. So this question says, find the exact value of sine of u plus v. So I'm going to use my first formula here, sine of u plus v. It'll always tell you which one to use for these types of questions. All right, so we have sine of u. In terms of x, y, and r, what is sine? Y over r. So this would be our y, and this is our r. Now it says where u is in between 0 and pi over 2. So in which quadrant are we working with here?
Either one, too.
In the first quadrant, right? Because this is 0 and this is pi over 2. So we're in here. So I'm going to draw my little triangle in here. I know my y is 4. My r is 5. So I'm missing x. How do I find x? Pythagorean Theorem. So 4 squared plus, I'll say x squared, because this is my x that I'm trying to find. Yep. And my hypotenuse is 5, so this would be 5 squared. So 16 plus x squared equals 25. Subtract 16. X squared is equal to 9. So what's x equal to?
3.
X is equal to 3. Is it a positive 3 or a negative 3? Positive, because I went to the right, so it's positive. X is positive over here. So here we're dealing with where sine of u. So this is our information for u. We'll come back to it. We're going to do the same thing with the second piece of information here, but now we're dealing with v. So cosine in terms of x, y, and r is what over what? X over r. Does the negative go with the x or with the r? It goes with the x because r is never negative. So x is negative 12. We have to find y, and r is 13. Now I'm dealing with the quadrant from pi over 2 to pi. So which quadrant is that? Second quadrant, so I'm over here. So x is negative 12, r is 13. How do I find y? Pythagorean Theorem. This tells you which quadrant. So this is pi over 2, because pi over 2 is like 90 degrees. Remember, this is 0 where you start, and then this is pi. So we're in between pi over 2 and pi, so we're in between here. All right, and then we have to do Pythagorean Theorem. So y squared plus negative 12 squared is equal to 13 squared. Remember, it's always equal to your hypotenuse squared. So y squared plus 144 is equal to 169. Subtract 144. So y squared is equal to 25. Take the square root. What's y equal to? 5. Is it a positive 5 or a negative 5?
Positive, you're going up 5.
Positive because we're going up. So we're going in the positive direction up here. So it's positive 5. So now this is my information for v. Because it told me cosine of v, so this is my v triangle stuff. This one said sine of u, so this is my u triangle stuff. Now I'm going to go back to the question where it says, find the exact value of sine of u plus v. So I'm using the formula up here. So this is sine of u times cosine of v plus cosine of u times sine of v. Now in terms of x, y, and r, what is sine? Y over r. What is cosine? X over r. So cosine is x over r and sine is y over r. Now u tells me that I need to look at my u triangle stuff here. So looking at the red box, I have y over r. So this would be 4 over 5. Now I have cosine of v, so it tells me I need to look at the blue box. So here I have x over r, so this would be negative 12 over 13. Plus cosine of u tells me I need to look at the red box. And cosine is x over r, so x would be 3 over 5. And then sine of v tells me I need to look at the blue box. Y over r, so this would be 5 over 13. Then from here we multiply. So multiply straight across on the top and straight across on the bottom. 4 times negative 12. Negative 48. 5 times 13. 65. 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 13 is 65. We have a common denominator here, so we can add them together. If we didn't have a common denominator, we would need to find one so we could add them together. So it's negative 48 plus 15.
33.
Negative 33
Yes.
over 65. And that's our answer. So let's say I was given a problem that looks like this. Which sum or difference formula does this look like?
The
Top one on the right. So that would be tangent of u plus v. But what's my u and what's my v? Tangent of 10 plus 20. What's 10 plus 20? So here I have to find the tangent of 30. Is 30 on my unit circle? Yeah, it is. I don't have a unit circle on this page. But tangent of 30 is on my unit circle. In terms of x and y, what's tangent? Y over x. So on my unit circle, I'm going to go to 30 and do y over x. So this would be 1/2 over square root 3 over 2. What do I do to evaluate this? Keep, change, flip. So keep the top, change to multiplication, flip the bottom to 2 over square root 3. The 2's will cancel, so I have 1 over square root 3. And I can't leave my answer with a square root on the bottom, so I have to rationalize. Multiply the top and the bottom by square root 3. So this would be square root 3 over 3. So if it gave me this question, my answer would be this.